Working.
Oh, no.
Just went off.
Yeah, I'm fine.
When the copies come in, we'll just. So when the copies come in, Attorney Jones, they will just.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to call the meeting, East Chicago County Council public hearing and regular meeting for Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. Please stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Second District Councilman Lenny Francisco. President. Third District Councilman Terrence Hill. Here. Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfrey. Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia. Present. Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
Councilman at Large Deborah Belanger.
Here.
Councilman at Large Dwayne Ransford. Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Monica Gonzalez.
Here. Our first thing on the agenda is a public hearing and for ordinance 220031, it's on for public hearing. Attorney Allegretti, did you have something to say?
Actually, this ordinance was defeated. So I guess there may not be much of a reason to have the public hearing.
Sure. So if you're withdrawing the,
Well, I just don't think there's, since we can't, the additional appropriation ordinance is not going to be considered. There's no reason to receive public comment on something that you're not going to consider.
okay,
My own, I defer to Sister Jones.
Correct. No reason for a public hearing.
okay. Our next public hearing. Regina, can you please read it?
Ordinance 22-0032, sponsored Mayor Anthony Copeland, Councilman Lenny Francisci, Councilwoman Gilda Warren. Additional appropriations ordinance, appropriating certain monies received from the local fiscal recovery fund for payment of additional premium paid to eligible city employees designated as essential workers.
Joe Allegretti, a law department. This ordinance is on the agenda for third reading, passed first and second reading last meeting. It's the additional appropriation is in the sum of $1.6 million. Companion to this ordinance is a resolution amending the Rescue Act plan to include this premium pay program for 2022. And that resolution specifies the participants and the level and to the extent that the city employees will participate. Based on our last conversation, the conversations we had the last time, I think there was a meeting, council persons and the administration, whereby some consensus was reached about the additional persons, specifically the employees and contract vendors in the health department that would be included. That is contained in the resolution that I believe the council will be taking up under resolution.
Okay, is there anybody to speak for or against it? Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, I just got a question. Is this with the resolution again, this?
That's the resolution I just handed out.
Is this going to be on the agenda for today?
It'll be added for the agenda today. Yes, sir.
No one here to speak for or against ordinance 220032. Public hearing is closed. Regular meeting. Minutes of council meetings,
We have none available at this time.
communication from the mayor,
I have none.
communication from department heads.
Accounts payable warrants 062022 CC, 070622 CC, 071322 CC, and 071322 LA.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Thank you. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Franceschi,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yeah.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Ratchford, Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Payroll warrant biweekly 062422, 070822. Payroll warrant miscellaneous 062422, and payroll warrant monthly 070122.
So move, Madam President.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Are there any committee reports? Any board reports? Ordinances on first reading?
Ordinance 22-0033. Sponsor Mayor Anthony Pope. Appropriations ordinance. TIF Lakefront Allocated Area 2 Fund 4451.
So move first and second reading, Madam President.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Orange.
Yes. It's been a great year to talk about.
Yes. If I may, Joe Allegretti, Law Department. Earlier this year, Councilman Garcia, the city issued $1.6 million of economic development revenue bonds, also known as SIP bonds, approved by the Common Council. Bonds were purchased by the developer, Chrome LLC, which you know to be William Marsh. Under the terms of an economic development agreement, which I conferred with Attorney, as I said, Attorney Jones on this. The city pledged 75% of the tax increment revenues generated from the increase in the assessed valuation of the property after the investment by Mr. Marsh to pay debt service on the bonds. Mr. Marsh bought the bond, a $1.62 million bond for $54,050. In this appropriation ordinance is represents the 75% that was pledged by the city from the incremental tax revenue for indicated bonds, and that's typically what we do. The county gives us the money, we segregate the amount owed, and after it's appropriated by the Common Council, we write them a check, and that's what this housekeeping appropriation ordinance is all about.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilman Garcia.
Joe, I think
Is it,
this one, I believe, still needs a public, or is it, since it's already earmarked? It probably needs one. It's been already earmarked in the prior agreement. So that's the only,
To be safe. I agree.
yeah,
We should defer.
let's have a public hearing on it because we're not 100% sure it was earmarked in the agreement, but it is another appropriation, so.
Well, thank you, Councilman.
next, ordinance on first reading?
ordinance 22-0034. Sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance for the Department of Special Events.
Made by Councilman Hill, seconded by Councilwoman Orange for first and second reading for 220034. Now, we'll do not get to explain the ordinance.
So this first one. So, for this particular ordinance, what we're intending to do is for some of the events that we already have in motion, we need to do some housekeeping. Some of the events that we've already had, there are things that we see that we need to add to, mostly to ensure better security, for lack of a better term, so, or, for the pest control and so the police, actually, for several of them, have more police and more security guards at the events. The cooling fans to make sure people don't get overheated, and we have our cooling stations for more lights, to rent more light towers, and things of that nature for events that are moving forward. This would take us through the events already scheduled through the end of August, with the exception of the other one, that's the second appropriation that we're asking for, seniors on the lake, but for salsa, for music, Polish Fest, to ensure that we have everything that we need to make sure that we have our controls in place for transportation, to get handicapped or disabled people from parking lots into the festivals or closer into the festivals. That was the purpose of this particular one.
Any questions? Councilwoman Russo?
Yes, now you just spoke about transportation for seniors, because I didn't see that in Washington Park. On the Rhythm of Blues, where they were transporting seniors to their cars. And
Correct.
so my constituents with no idea bring up the security in the park and Rhythm and Blues, where I parked was by the pool. And with security out there, I don't know whose security it was, but I spoke to them about it being so dark walking to the pool area. There was children out there playing in the dark, but there was a lot of us walking through that park, and it was dangerous, and not one police officer nor security, which I really didn't see a lot of police officers. I seen security, I'm assuming that's who they were, but they were geared toward the stage. I spoke with one of them about it, just asking if there's security, watching the people out, and they just kept walking like I was talking to the air, I guess. And I don't use that I'm a council person for nothing, because I want them to treat me like they treat everybody else, but it was horrible on the response from because they didn't give me no response, they just looked away. But the security, we need it, if it's gonna be in the park, once again, it's on the 30th, it will be, and it will be dark when people leave, even if it's the vendors leaving out, that security needs to be throughout that entire park. The police cars, they didn't have that many out there, but the lights were focused on the stage because the lighting went out, which was horrible. But as far as you getting that extra lighting, that needs to go from everywhere that those people are walking. They were walking to St. Catherine, they were walking in the dark. The grass in the park is not the best, so you walk, you twist your ankle, nobody's there. I know a senior that walked from the park over to by St. Catherine, and she couldn't see, she had a cane. But you do need the security and the lighting for that, because it was very bad.
So we do apologize for that. I'm on a cane myself, and uneven walking grass, for anyone who has any kind of disability when you're walking is scary. I didn't realize how dark that park is. For example, Polish Fest, in August, Koski is well lit. I assumed Washington was as well as we did have 2 light towers that the city owns. So when we did the walkthrough, we said, okay, so we got these lights on the side of the stage, you know, and then put the tester on them, shows that they were working. The light towers had gone to be serviced in, I think, April, because we knew we were going into festival season. So we knew that they should be working. And we knew that the police, they have this camera thing that have lights on the back of it. So we thought, okay, funds are limited. Let's just make sure that we have these lights in place. But I also assumed that there's more lights in that park, more like Koski than there are, but obviously there's not. So again, that's one of the reasons for some of this is to be able to order more lighting to rent. Because we have what we own, and then we need to rent additional. We recognize that we need more police and security guards at even the smaller events. We had no incidents, but if we had, that might be a problem. Because it was a large crowd. And it was a fairly successful event. Again, with no incident, no negative incident. But we want to be better prepared moving forward.
Any more questions? Councilman, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Orange?
Councilwoman Winfield was saying, so maybe next year in your budget for the parks, and maybe this is for you, maybe they can put more lighting, but on a timer, because I understand when you live near a park and you have all the lights on, you know, the people around the park will complain because I know the sunset, when it's lit up, they want the lights out, they don't want them shining in their houses. So maybe in your budget next year, or before, if it's for park and recreation, they can have more lighting, but maybe that can be switched off at a certain time unless you're having an event, so it can be time controlled.
And that's my understanding is that at Washington Park, there are some lights, but they're on a timer. And Joe Rosado, who does all of our electrical and lighting stuff for us, he didn't realize that they wouldn't be coming on, but at night, I don't know if they come on at all at night between the residents and the police. They prefer that the park go dark so the people will go home. So that's something that I think is being rediscussed, and we'll see where they go with that. But for the event, we will definitely deal with it. For the day-to-day, if there's day-to-day, I haven't heard of people complaining about parks being dark. I don't know. Maybe they recognize that it's dark and that's when it's time to leave, because the park's closed at dusk. But that's what we are bringing is to get more lighting for these events.
Any more questions? Roll call, please.
Franceschi,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia, Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
No.
Ransford, Monroe,
No.
Gonzalez,
No. Motion failed. Next ordinance?
ordinance 22-0035, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance for the Department of Special Event, Seniors Lakefront Event.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Hill.
So for this ordinance, as we've been trying to bring back all of our annual events, and the Seniors on the Lake was an annual event pre-COVID. And the seniors have been calling daily asking, is this event coming back? And, you know, the answer so far has been, we're trying, we need more time to see if we can move forward with this event. We don't have any funds for this event, and we are asking all of the council to please support us in bringing this event back for the seniors. It's like I said, it's an annual event. We send out a call. We have a lot of seniors that have come historically, so we send them information on what day they can start calling or start coming to register. But once we hit a certain number, then that's it. So we try to plan on about 250 people. Because we have it outdoors. We try to bring them in if it's too hot. We have it set up inside for those that may be too hot anyway. But if it were to be a rainy day or something like that, we would bring them inside as well.
Are there any questions? I just have one question. Can you tell me why you didn't ask for this at the beginning of the, put it in your budget?
What was put in the budget got eaten up by some of the other events that come first. With the cost of doing business going up so high this year, and I don't think.
We didn't realize. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we didn't realize the high cost of everything, not just food, but, you know, whoever you're bringing in, whatever services you're trying to offer, you know, the rentals of everything have, those numbers have doubled and in some areas tripled. And so those dollars got eaten up by earlier events. And so then when we bought the big appropriation, they got denied, it wasn't there. But the initial budget, I thought we'd be able to stretch further than we were able to.
Is there any more questions? Roll call, please.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
No.
Monroe,
No.
Gonzalez.
No. Motion failed.
Thank you
Next,
for your time.
ordinance is on second reading,
We have none.
ordinance is on third reading,
Ordinance 22-0032, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, Councilman Lenny Franciski, Councilwoman Gilda Warren. Personal appropriations ordinance appropriating certain monies received from the local fiscal recovery fund.
Move on third and final reading, Madam President.
Second.
motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman, I'm not still wrong, Councilman Hill. Yes, Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, I'm just a little confused with this ordinance and the other two. Other one we got.
I can't hear you.
I got a little confused about this ordinance and the other resolution. So can you explain it to me?
They go together. One's a resolution, one's the actual appropriation ordinance for the funds. The resolution explains how they're gonna be spent. That's a fair 3,000-foot view.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Garcia. Oh, does anybody else have any questions?
On this, premium pay, I see that, okay, so we added the Chicago Health Department, because that was a concern of some of these people. In the council. But where it comes to, from 1 to 5 years, contract employees, I only see one employee, so who is that employee?
That's Diana, that's the director. That's Diana. That's
So
super.
Valerie Secrets is not a,
Everybody else is a contract.
I thought she was full-time.
Is a part-time vendor.
So during our meeting, there was Councilman Master, Councilwoman Balanos, and our attorney were present, and we talked with the mayor. And one of the things that we pushed for was to go ahead and include the health department employees on this since they weren't included on the last one. He agreed with the exception of the bonus would be paid out to the employees that were full-time contractors, but get a part-time bonus, if that makes sense. And so we agreed with that to make sure that they would get something from the bonus.
I did a calculation and then, I said, after I spoke with her, I was asking for that specific data. How many, who basically was working 40 hours, and the only 40-hour per week person, from what you want, was Diane.
Right, and we did not, the council itself did not do the calculation. It was the two attorneys, I'm not sure.
I mean, I got the information from Arnita, and I shared it with, of course, with the Attorney General.
Councilman Orange?
So I understand about the calculation. I'm just trying to see, I thought that she was a full-time employee,
She's a council.
She meaning, I'm sorry,
contract, okay, full-time contract employee.
you talking about
She
Diane?
worked, I'm talking about Valerie Stevens. She worked.
If she's an employee, she would participate like all employees.
But she would get the,
This is only for,
she came on right after Diane, which would give her the 3,000, but I only see one employee under that.
if she's an employee, gets a, and I don't know, but if she's an employee, she participates without, we didn't need to include her. She was included in the first.
Is she in the contract or not?
Sorry, I don't
Well, you
know.
don't know, she's not. Okay, thank
I believe she's full-time.
you. Okay, thank you.
So then
I just
she-
want to make sure she wasn't overlooked.
Understood.
Are there any more questions on this ordinance? Ordinance on third reading. Roll call, please.
Franceschi.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yeah.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Malonio.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Okay, resolutions.
Resolution 22-0007, sponsored council members Gonzalez, Francisci, Hill, Winfield, Garcia, Orange, Bolaños, Rentfer, and Monroe. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Kyle, Indiana, proclaiming June 19th as observance of Juneteenth.
So moved, Madam President.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Orange. Roll call, please.
Francisci,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yeah.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Is there any old business? Councilman Garcia?
I will, Madam President, I make a motion to add to the agenda two resolutions. One resolution amending the plan for distributing money received through the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARP, and deposit in the city's ARP coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund, 0176 of the fund 2022 premium pay program. And resolution establishing a city cash funding fund.
Resolution 22-00008.
Yes.
I would also, I might do this on the new business, but that's fine. We'll do these two resolutions. If we can have a motion, that's your motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what the motion.
It's just a motion to add them to the agenda.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, I have a motion to add resolution 22-0008. And also resolution, it's marked 22-00-009. Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Roll call, please. Or is there any questions? I'm sorry. Are there any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Franceschi,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
President, move to hear resolution 220008.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia to pass resolution 220008, second by Councilman Monroe. The resolution establishing a city cash change fund. Val, can you speak on this briefly? Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. I'll go with city controller. The city cash change fund, it's basically a fund where we use, there's different departments in the city that collect money for services. Like in the controller's office, in my office, we collect the dog license, this license. A lot of people paying cash, and to make change, we need to have funds to make change. At the present time, different departments are collecting money. The discussion with the State Board of Accounts, they recommended for better internal controls. We have the funds centrally located. Looking at the controller's office, and we would distribute it. Someone said we need additional change money. They would sign with us, we would give it to them. Because this fund is always supposed to, in this instance, we're gonna have 3,000. It will always have 3,000 because we're making change, we're not, it shouldn't get less at all. At the end of the day, it should be 3,000 every time. So with the accompanying page, State Board of Accounts made us aware of the statute, and it also has a pay cash fund. What some departments have been doing in the past is using their pay cash to make a check, go to the bank, and then have funds there. But with so many departments, the Board of Accounts recommends it's better to have internal controls. The controller's office, we can see what's in the fund every day. We can see if something's missing. And at any time the department requests money for change and they return at the end of the day or end of the week, it's short, that department is responsible for paying that money. It's more than internal control. Do you have any other questions?
No questions? Roll call, please.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
I further move on resolution 220009.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia to hear resolution 220009, seconded by Councilman Monroe. I believe Mr. Alberti already spoke on this resolution. Do you, does anyone have any questions? Roll call, please.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield.
Yeah.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Any other old business? New business?
Yes.
One of the things I'd like to go first on the new business, if someone would please make a motion for 220036. Councilman Orange?
So moved to bring, to put ordinance number 22036
Second.
on the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Orange to hear 220036, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Put it on the agenda. Any questions? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yeah.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
I make a motion to, pass ordinance, 220036 on first and second reading.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilwoman Orange, to hear 220036 on first and second reading, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Is that correct?
Yes.
There you go. Councilman Garcia.
Are we going to be a public hearing on this?
Yes. And I don't know if Joe wants to speak on this one or not. This is the, oh, these dudes right here.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Garcia.
So I just want to thank Mr. Salvi and Alan. I met on the phone with them. They're very clear on their perception of the project. This is a continuing project from the past. I know I asked you some questions. I don't know if you got that information. You got that information for me?
I'm sorry, can you remind me of the questions
How much we spent so far?
on Indianapolis Boulevard? At this point, somewhere Indianapolis Boulevard, costs associated with it so far with design.
It's north of, you talking about on the point repairs or?
Are you, it was all closed down, remember, a couple of years ago?
Oh, north of 3 million,
No,
north of 3 million.
didn't give me an exact amount.
So we can get that.
I actually at that meeting for what we spent in the past on that project.
He's referring to the water project from City Hall.
Army Corps engineer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get to that exact number.
And the only thing I ask that please inform the residents as this project is going along and the businesses, because the businesses had they hit last time.
Yes.
But please inform the residents as this project, before the project starts and how the schedule is going. But I think it's a good project that we need. Thank you.
Councilman Blondin.
I know you told me and I asked you, but can you repeat just so everybody can hear? Because we do have people that live close to Indianapolis Boulevard that are here about the closures, how you're gonna do each separate
Yes.
different months and things like that.
So our plan of attack is this. There are 3 different projects that I mentioned to most of you guys that will come in succession. It'll be our project first, the one that we're coming before you for $50 million, which is the replacement of the water and sanitary sewer. That project is number 1. And the way we're going to be tackling that particular project is that we're going to start at 152nd Street by doing some repairs on it. Once we do the repairs on 152nd Street, then what we'll do is we'll use that particular street as the alternate route for traffic once we shut down Indianapolis Boulevard. Our plans at this point is to shut down 3 blocks at a time during construction. And at which point in time, once those 3 blocks are completed, we'll come back with the subsurface and tentatively open those blocks up before we move on to the next 3 blocks. That'll continue on north until we get to the 147th block. In that particular block, we're going to be doing construction at night. And the reason being is, as Councilman Garcia alluded to, the last time we had a project, we negatively affected some of our businesses. So with us doing the construction in the 47th and part of the 46th, that little short street there, we'll be doing our construction at night. We will actually have access roads to all of the businesses in that particular corridor. And then we'll continue on down north to Columbus Drive. What I've been doing since I moved over to this particular role is I pray that everyone actually has Nixle. I do quite a bit of updating in terms of project updates, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, because certain things change, as well as I do communicate with Steve Segura and putting this information on all our social media posts, wherever it can go. Once that particular project is completed, which we anticipate will take approximately 2 years, there will be a second project that comes behind to further enhance the Indianapolis Boulevard improvements. This particular project is going to be headed up by the state. It is the widening of the actual Indianapolis Boulevard. There are 8 particular blocks that they're going to widen. as well as they're gonna probably reduce the traffic in those particular 8 blocks into a one lane on both sides and a center turning lane. With this, the purpose of this is that, as most of you guys know, that in certain blocks, the residents that live on Indianapolis Boulevard have to kind of park up on the curb, kitty corner, try to get their cars out of the actual street. This particular street project will eliminate that and allow them to park safely in front of their houses moving forward. And then the third and final project is in that project that will come in after both of these particular projects. And what they'll do is they'll do enhancements on the handicap accessible areas throughout the corridor, as well as the final thing they're going to do for us is, and this is why this particular project, our project, is so important, is they're going to come back through and they're going to totally resurface all of the pavement on Indianapolis Boulevard. So again, I stress the importance of trying to get this particular project done, and the reason being is because there's cost savings involved. Because if we can get our project done prior to them coming in, we won't have to tear up that brand new asphalt that they're going to put down regardless of what we do with our project. So as I had mentioned before, I think it's a great opportunity. The infrastructure underneath Indianapolis Boulevard is well over 100 years old in places, as well as, you know, it's way past the lack expectancy of any utility. So we've been fortunate. If you ask Ken Myers and Joe Wright, they'll say no, because they're out there at least twice a year doing some type of point repair. As a matter of fact, there's a water problem I just noticed on the way in on Indianapolis, right there at the corner of East Chicago Avenue and Indian. So those types of things will be actually resolved in this particular project.
Are there any more questions? Councilman
Yeah,
Garcia?
if you guys please give me a breakdown of what we paid in the past and what this project's gonna cost. And one thing, the state's spending about $4 or $5 million on this project.
5.
That's at the end.
That's at the end. That's not this $15 million. The $15 million, and I believe we'll hand it out to handout. The bid, the lowest bid that we were interested in actually entertaining is somewhere in the neighborhood of $14.3 billion. We're asking additional $670,000 in contingencies for our potential change orders and any unforeseen. So we don't have to keep coming up here in front of you guys saying, hey, we have a change order. So that equals the $15 million that we're asking at this point.
Councilman.
Yeah, Mr. Selvin, we all thank you all for inviting me to the meeting, and it was very well organized.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate that.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Francisco.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yeah.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Bolaño.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Okay. Our new business, we're still on new business. I know Councilwoman Winfield, did you have something? Yeah.
I have to, I do just want to hear an answer, like I spoke to Mr. Selby on today. I left a message to the engineering department about the phone call that I made. Councilman Orange, I'm not for sure, but I actually was concerned. This weekend I went to White Castle, and I noticed that the 39th block of Guthrie, those terminal lights were all out the whole weekend. So I did call. It went from 39th to the 38th block. Everything was lit past, more so where the old Mark Field used to be at. It was lit down there, but it was pitch black this weekend.
If I may address that, we do apologize. The lights are working. There was no problem with the lights. However, the timer needed to be changed. As the summer moves on, dusk and dawn changes the time. We have to set it to a specific time for it to be turned on. In certain points on the first portion from the gas station to, I believe, Kentucky Licorice area, and then moving forward on the actual it's adjusted on as well. So we did check to see if there was a problem. There was no problem. We just readjusted the lights in terms of the time.
Okay, this was 9:45 at night, 9:45, so them lights shouldn't have been out at all. They should never go out, period, until the dawn.
I
So that
concur.
dusk of dawn was not it.
I concur. And again, we will send out one of our vendors to double check. We didn't see any problems. They were on last night. We did confirm with a couple of folks that live along the corridor. If it does happen again, please reach out to us because I believe Will Allen was unaware that there was an issue in the first place.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, Keith, just one more. I know we appropriated the money for that emergency messaging system or at the lights. When is that gonna start?
Hold on one second. Have we received that money?
Yeah, we received it. We actually received the shipment, I think, last week. So.
We got equipment?
We got the shipment already got delivered for the Opticom technology that's going at the intersection. We received the equipment, we opened up the POs. As far as like an exact start date, I would imagine that we can start installing next month.
We do have a project that's going on that the same vendor is doing the installs, does the majority of our electricity, Midwestern. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but we've been installing our city street signs, the lighted ones, like the ones that are lit throughout the actual city at our major thoroughfares. Once that particular project, there were 96, if I remember correctly, signs that we were going to install. So as soon as that concludes, we will start doing the Opticom installs at those intersections, as well as it was suggested by the vendor that we do a couple of test cars. So we'll probably test one police car, test one fire truck as those start to get installed.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Warren.
Just one more question. The lighting, I know you're talking about lighting, and I didn't ask you this at the meeting. Is there any way you can give me an update on what kind of lighting is happening on 148th and Alcott, Lagoon Way, all these areas that are very, very dark, Ivy, the 43rd block of Ivy, 42nd block of Ivy, the lighting there is just not.
Well, and I think I may have addressed this a couple of times with Councilwoman Winfield. There are two separate lighting systems in the city. There are city lights that the city of East Chicago owns, and they basically utilize, they maintain. And then there are NIPSCO lighting. So if you could, and this is my first time hearing this, send myself or Will an email with those particular locations so we can clarify if it is a NIPSCO, which I believe it is, a NIPSCO light. We can see if we can address it. It's, you know what I'm saying? So what we do is you guys tell us and then we actually submit that to NIPSCO as an issue.
And we'll do a site visit, and then if we need to increase the intensity, wattage or lumen, just depending on what type of fixture it is, we can submit a letter, start the process on NIPSCO and then we get those more or
I'll
less.
send you, those addresses. Now, you know, I've been waiting on this for like 2 years now with Sunnyside. They never did anything, the light in Sunnyside. Trees are covering the light. I rode with the young lady to show her the lights at night. Talked to Julio also. It's been 2 years. Lighting is NIPSCO poles. I spoke with NIPSCO myself, and they told me the city have to pay more money if they put brighter light.
If the wattage, the intensity does increase, you know, then there's an increase in cost.
I think the money.
Which we don't have an issue doing. If we need to increase the intensity, we do that already. When it comes to Sunnyside, I understand if you're frustrated. It happens with NIPSCO kind of throughout the city. I don't know whether or not they pick and choose which ones they address quickly, but sometimes they work fast, sometimes they work slow. We'll continue, you know, to push this because I understand you have been pushing the issue for a long time.
If I could suggest, it would help us as well because we do rate on them. They don't rate on us. So if the council would want to put a letter together, send it over saying, hey, we need these services a little bit faster. It's not on Will in his department. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's submitting the actual request. It's just that there's a huge, from there, I understand it, backlog of materials as well as work orders that, it's in the pot.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, it's very important if you guys call it in, get the phone number and also the block and the street where it's at. That makes it a lot faster. With them giving the street name, they want a phone number and everything, but yeah, this still takes its time.
Yes, I mean, it even comes to the fact that we actually get out there on site and we'll show them the pole, we'll write letters. That's what we have to do in order to start the process, in order for them to actually get out. But then it's just a process that they'll give, the reason why, but it's just a process until they actually get it corrected. The letter comes up,
The letter, Stacy would request a letter be sent to the Councilwoman.
I have two things. I know that Hammond just passed a ordinance about the discharge of firearms. Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with the state. I don't know if it's just symbolic for them. And I don't know what the state statute says on discharging a gun. But I would like for you to look into that to see if you can do that, because since Indiana passed that law here July 1st, that you don't have to have anything to carry a gun, just the Wild West.
It really is.
And it's just really ridiculous. So whatever we could do on our end to try to minimize the gunshots.
Yeah, I think, I did see that. I have been looking into it. It seems to me there's a difference really between someone's permissive carry versus discharge. So, and I think that's what Hammond did, is they used that kind of distinguished difference. I'll look into it. It's probably gonna be challenged in Hammond, but there's no reason why.
We already have one on the books.
Right, so, and that's, so
We
I.
passed it last year.
So I thought there was one. I don't know if it's exactly the same. It's similar. I thought there was one. I just don't know if it's as extensive as what Hammond just passed.
Yeah, but like I said, then if that's the case, then we need some more teeth to the one that we have. If possible, I know everybody shoots a gun off on New Year's Day and everything, but I remember years ago, Councilwoman Winfield, they were shooting up and it came through her windows. I remember that. And like I said, that kid got killed in Hampton like that. So if we can strengthen it, and because like I said, now with this law, it's just ridiculous.
Well, and municipalities in general are scrambling because of public parks, and I know North Township is dealing with this too. So it's going to be an evolving issue. It's all lit up on the listservs that I'm involved in right now. So if there's something that comes up that we can use, certainly.
I think also one of the main issues is lighting. We need lighting. Crime watch groups, we start one, that's the number one issue. Good lighting in your neighborhood. So this is what I'm asking about the lighting throughout the city. There's a lot of neighborhoods that are very dark, and what you're saying, they just come out with the guns and shoot them, and you can't see because it's so dark. So.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, we have a problem with people shooting in Chicago. This is throughout the whole year. Our shot spotter information is inundated. Shots fired throughout the year. As small as our city is, I can hear any guns fire in the harbor. It's heard the same thing in Chicago, but that's the problem we do have in Chicago with people discharging their weapons in Chicago.
Councilwoman Orange.
And then I just have one comment about the events, and it didn't pass tonight, and it's a shame because these are seniors that don't have a lot of activities, and if you were going to do one of them, that should have been the one for the seniors. You have to remember that you guys zeroed out the whole budget when Councilman Perez was here, he zeroed everything, so it was, everything was zeroed out, and they had to bring back everything. Then in November of last year, the Finance Committee lowered most of the budgets of all the departments. So even if they had it in there, it still wouldn't have passed because you guys have lowered the budget. I'm not quite understanding when you say first you want stuff for the people, but then when the stuff comes up here for the people, and this is not personal. These are activities that people enjoy going to. They have fun at them. It gets the older people out of the house. And I'm not understanding why it's not being passed here. They ask them for everything, they bring it up here, you still gonna pass it.
Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, I'm just gonna talk reference to budget. I know there's some stuff that's covered in the budget, and the reason it's covered in the budget is it's under contractual. You know, if they're listed in the budget, I don't think it's being problem. But when you list stuff as contractual and there's no explanation, you know, and you're talking about millions of dollars, you know, how can we spend, you know, pass millions of dollars if we don't know where it's going?
Councilman Blanos, did you have something else in your eyes?
Under business?
Yeah, we're starting new business.
Okay. So on Monday, I received a call from 5 mothers from the 148th block of Olcott. They have been putting up and going through horrible, horrible situation. Not only people shooting guns, but you having young people walking around with rifles on their shoulders, pulling out guns, exchanging guns, selling drugs, and they have photo, video. This has been going on for years. I'm well aware of the July 1st new rule of the state, and so are they. They reached out to me, so I feel that my responsibility was to meet with them, hear them at least, what their concerns was. And I made some phone calls. I did some research online. I called the Treasurer's Department to find out who the owners of these properties that are being rented to these lowlifes that are causing this problems in their neighborhood. These are working class people just like you and I. A lot of them are homeowners. They've been there for about 25 years. They have children that cannot use their swimming pools in their backyard because the kids are afraid to go out and play in the front or in the back of their own yard. This is sad, very, very sad. I called the chief and he told me, I told him that I wanted to have a meeting on July 20th at my studio. And I was waiting to organize that and call Councilman Hill to join me. The response that I got was that he was already planning a community meeting on both sides in the harbor and in Chicago. Well, that's fine. And I think that's great. We should do it. But we have pockets of violence and crime in different parts of our city. And when it comes to anybody, but especially to moms, if you're a mom or you're a grandma and you see this happening in your neighborhood, are you going to stand up or are you going to stay quiet? They're here today because they're going to speak up. I told them to come. And if anybody knows when a mom gets mad and they're ready to defend their children and their grandchildren. So I feel the same. I went through the same thing many, many years ago when my youngest daughter was young, and we had that same problem. Only these people have it on their actual block. I had it 2 blocks behind me. Well, now my daughter's a police officer, and I'm glad that she is. But this is, I guess my concern is that we have to, as a council, I think that let's get together and try to find a solution to help our different neighborhoods that have this problem. We need to get together and help them. I just spoke to Councilman Hill before the meeting, and I said, you know, why don't we kind of show these people, show these ladies how to put a crime watch together? Is it too late? Maybe not. But you know what? I look at it this way. Anything is better than nothing. I've been successful with my crime watch. I'm not saying it's 100% peaceful where I'm at,
but at least my neighbors talk to each other, know each other, and report every single thing that goes on. And I want to reassure these ladies that at least we have their back. They're scared, and their children are scared. And put yourselves in their place if you've never been in this situation, please. So they'll be speaking later after the meeting.
Councilman Hill?
Damn, somebody called me a lady tonight.
I apologize.
Anyway, I received. Anyway, I received a call from one of my residents about the situation the other day. I immediately called, I was at BCPD, spoke to one commander, but now I'm gonna take a little further with that. I'm gonna call them tomorrow and I want to schedule a meeting with the commanders and the chief. And once we try to set up that meeting, I'm gonna call Deb and I'm gonna call you Maria, so we can meet with them and let them know exactly what's going on. I told him the address for everything that's going on, so he said he can be watching. We're gonna have to do a little bit more than just watch it. We're gonna have to, like Deb said, find out who's the owner of these properties, and we're gonna have to take action. Because she always called me and I always try to do what she asked me to do. And I did call right away, so I'm gonna definitely tomorrow call the chief and the commander and set up a meeting. You know, and I don't wanna hear them telling me this and that, but we all try to protect our citizens here in this city of Chicago, especially in my district as well. So, and then we're gonna work together on this, Deb?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll push back.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes. Judge Jones, if you could take a look at that law and let us know, because I know, you can't carry still in schools and going in
Right,
buildings and stuff like that. Can business owners also put signage up? and say,
Private
no?
businesses, yes.
They can.
And I know you just mentioned in government buildings, but there's also argument right now that you should be able to carry in any government building if there's not a court. So that's being argued right now as well. Like I said, this is evolving. It's every day there's another topic being debated, so.
Yeah, and that's maybe we can help our businesses, so if we can't keep telling me, put a sign up, no weapons allowed in the store, but they kind of still want to do it, but at least they have a sign, and it's off, and maybe we'll try to protect them.
Yeah, it's just gonna be
Yeah,
it's gonna be hot for
I got a couple
months.
calls, there was somebody carrying M16 in and out of the car gas station and stuff like that, so. That's the times we live in now until it gets changed.
Can I read this? It's a comment from East Chicago. It's just about,
It was stated on July 3rd, it was a woman that put, "Be safe neighbors" on 139th and 140th blocks of Elm and Deodore. Just seen a young man walking on the street with a long rifle. Don't know what kind, not the first time I've seen him, but definitely be safe, aware of your surroundings. This is sad. That's all I gotta say.
Winfield?
Yes, I wasn't finished at it too when I had spoke, but I would like to have the clerk's office, they would send a letter to NIPSCO with concerning about the lighting, so we can get his engineering. Is that what you want us to do? Is it gonna go forward to NIPSCO or you forward?
That would be up to you.
We would need an
All we would
address.
need to do is, we have two emails that we use to go to the departments that handle our particular situations.
We can forward that letter to NIPSCO, the address that he has. But the second one is the other issue that I wanted to speak of. It was something that was on social media, and it was from a resident that was raised here, that was from East Chicago. His name is Lloyd McKeithen. He's a living history, about to turn 96 on July 20th. He may be the last living Tuskegee Airman in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. He's one of the dwindling number nationwide. The family wants to celebrate his birthday, this American hero's birthday, with the birthday card shower. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African-American military aviators in the United States Armed Forces. The name also applies to the navigators, bombarders, mechanics, instructors, crew chiefs, nurses, cooks, and other support personnel who serve. They are accredited for completing 1578 compact missions. And I know Robert Garcia is very familiar with this, what I'm saying. But Nikita entered the aviation cadet program of Tuskegee Army Airfield in February 1945. Over his long military career, he rose to the rank of colonel. He retired from the United States Air Force August 1st, 1979, after over 30 years of military service. He was the last Tuskegee Airman to retire from an active duty. His family was asking that as many people that they can get to send this man birthday cards in honor of his amazing contributions to the country and celebrate his 96th birthday. We, his family, would like to ask people far and wide and to shower him with birthday cards and notes. Also, drawings from children would thrill him and make his special day. This man still tells the story of being a Tuskegee Airman, and to this day, he's actually wheelchair bound, and he lives in a senior facility in Dallas with over 8,500 flying hours. He still remembers everything, and they just want to ask if people will send him cards. So what I'm requesting, if it's okay with my colleagues, if we could send him a letter, just wishing, congratulating him and wishing him a happy birthday. Since he is from East Chicago, I know Gilda Orange should know the family. They grew up in Sunnyside. His granddaughter grew up on Neal Street in Sunnyside, the McKeithen family. But I think he would be excited to receive something from the East Chicago City Council, being from East Chicago with our signatures on it. Thank you, and I do have the address to forward to you.
I have the address. I seen that article myself, and I was gonna forward him a letter on behalf of my office, just the same.
Thank you so much. Stacey, we need to make a motion to send a letter.
You don't have to make a motion, you can just request a
I
letter.
was, yeah, that's what I was requesting, that you send a letter from the council.
Will do.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Orange.
When Councilman Medina was on the council, when Clerk Medina was on the council, he sponsored an ordinance about nuisance buildings. And that what the city could do if this is a continual problem. And it even taken the property from the landlord. I don't know if you remember that, Clerk Medina, but the only way it can be used is that the residents have to continue to call on that particular address. You don't call and make a report on that address, there's not much you can do to those landlords. So my advice is that continue to call. If it's 4900 Alcott, then continue to call and say, hey, we see guns, we see people out here and stuff like that. And then that way, this could be forwarded to the courts and that a property can be taken from them. You know, I'm just saying, you gotta have a record. I know it's hard when you try to raise your kids amongst violence, but you gotta have something for the city and the building department and the court to be able to work. Because they say, well, nobody ever called us about it, which I'm sure you guys have. But I'm just saying, that's the only way you're gonna fight this problem.
Do we know how many calls it takes?
Hold on a second, that's Council, hold on one second, Councilman Franciscan.
Yeah, I just want to say and kind of piggyback what Councilwoman Gilda Orange said, and it does work, believe me. I had one in my district on 149 in the way. It was a big apartment renters unit, nothing but problems. And I did the same thing, make sure you tell the homeowners to constantly call. And finally, they did shut down the building, and it is still shut down today. It's been shut down for already over 3 years. So it does work. I mean, yes, you just gotta make sure you're calling, and you know, they'll get into with the building department and work with the police department to shut it down from the landlord. So.
Councilwoman Alliance.
Just want to know how many calls does it take? I heard that there was a certain amount of calls.
Yeah.
Councilman Hill.
Yeah, I think they told me about 4 or 5, they get 4 or 5 calls on this particular time. 'Cause I had 2 of them on my block. And I constantly call, they had a meeting with the landlord. And told him if it doesn't stop, they're gonna revoke the tenant license, and it has stopped. So it does, like Councilman, Francis, Councilman Finch said, it does work. We just gotta continue to call.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, it does work. It happened to me on 2 locations. I don't know if there's a number of calls they got. I know it's a state law reference, kind of rules since that backs the city that backs with the city. But it does work. What I did in those 2 areas, a lot of times you got residents that don't want to call, they're scared for retaliation. So a couple of times I said, just call me, I'll call the police. So in those instances, they call me, I call the police. It got to so many calls, and it depends on the call they got, and the times and stuff like that. But they called the landlord up, brought them in the office, they showed them all the calls on that building. And then the next thing was, we got the health department and the building department that's going to do the inspection, but it does work. If you got somebody you work with, you call Debbie, you call me, I'll call the cops. I know a lot of times people are scared of retaliation here, but you call us, I'll call the police.
Anything else on the new business? I do have one thing, it's just going back to the 4th of July and fireworks and how much fireworks. And I know that we can't really enforce fireworks because people are allowed to have or allowed to set off fireworks. But the biggest problem that we saw this year was fireworks being set off and then not getting cleaned up, and especially in our parks. Edward Bell Park, Washington Park, it was basically a dumping ground. And so one of my residents was gonna come and speak because he was cleaning up his yard for days, gutters, his roof, his lawn, everything. And I think what we need to focus on next year is not so much the fireworks, but the cleanup, because if you're cited for dumping, or if you're cited for, dumping or garbage, or just, there's no fireworks in the park. I mean, it's displayed, a citation just for that. So we need to really move on that next year before this happens again, because it was a mess on all the parks. Anybody else have any new business? Before I forget, I just want to wish Councilman Bolaños a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And then we'll start with public expression. The first one is Elizabeth Palacio. Can you please come up, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council. Thank you. My name is Elizabeth Palacio. I live at 4124 White Avenue, here in Chicago. I'm here for the safety of and concern of the citizens of Chicago coming over the Columbus Drive Bridge today. They switched lanes. Last week it was going west. Now it's coming east. Well, last week when it was going west, it was pretty hairy, getting there. It's very heavy, hairy, especially for those that are on their phones in big trucks. They're not paying attention to the little person who's so high up. It's very dangerous. My neighbor next door, she got hit and she started to pursue the driver, and she was she called 911. They told her not to pursue, and so because she didn't know what they had in front. Anyway, so now this week it's coming east, and so it's pretty dangerous. I don't know if you've been coming east today. I did, and also the curve is really sharp. Those trucks with the huge bumpers are dangerous. The tankers especially, it's just one way going both ways. I wish you could both take a drive that way. So that was my concern. Thank you so much for your time.
Our next one is Isabel Gomez. Please state your name and your address, and you do have 3 minutes to.
Buenas tardes. Yo hablo español, so no, si la señora Bolaños me puede interpretar. Nosotros venimos, mis compañeros y yo, porque tenemos una situación de jóvenes que se juntan en la dirección de vive mi mamá, 4621 Volca. Ellos,
She's here with the rest of the moms because they are facing the problems on the same block, 48,
21,
4821.
esos jóvenes se juntan y tienen armas y pues todos los vecinos tenemos miedo que vaya a pasar algo.
The young people that are living on that block, all of them are carrying handguns, and they are displaying them, and they're intimidating the neighborhood, and they're afraid.
No podemos salir, nuestros nietos, nuestros hijos, pues tenemos miedo que salgan.
They can't go out, they're afraid, the grandkids don't want to go out because of fear of seeing that going on, and neither do the senior citizens on the block.
Eso ya había pasado antes, se calmaron un poco, pero hoy otra vez están haciendo lo mismo y queremos, porque nos den más seguridad para la colonia, la cuadra, la calle.
This is not just something that's happened recently, it's been happening for a long time, way before. 3 years, she said about 3 years, and they called to complain, and
llamamos la policía, pero nomás dan como unas vueltas y ya no vuelven.
so she says that they call the police, but they go around the block to check, and obviously these people probably take off, and the police can't find them, and nothing has been done.
Yeah, man.
Y pues queremos un poco más de seguridad, pues,
They're
que
asking
ayuden, pues.
for a little bit more security in the area, police presence if possible, because they feel like, you know, they're stuck in their home and they can't get out.
Tenemos miedo.
They're afraid.
Tantas, ya que ha habido con balaceras,
So there's been a lot of shootings.
pues tenemos miedo que vaya a suceder algo en la cuadra también.
So they're afraid that there's going to be a disaster, tragic disaster.
Gracias.
Maria Cruz. State your name and your address, please. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Maria Cruz and I live on 4829 Orchard. I've been living there for almost 25 years. And last 3 years, I have a really bad experience with these kids shooting outside. I was outside, I was afraid that my kids go outside and they don't know that these kids, they was shooting. Lucky one of my neighbors, they saw me and they let me go inside of her house so I can use my phone and call my daughters to tell her that the shooting was in the street. When we call the cops and the cops come, my daughter told me that this guy, he was shooting in front of my house. And now we have a meeting with Jose Rivera and he said that he's going to help us, but nothing happened. The owner of this house, they know already about the problem. And they say that nobody on that department complains about anything. They don't complain because they are the same people that these kids. And like now they start again carrying the guns. And we know there is a new law that you can carry guns. But these people, they're not carrying guns like normal people. They have outside of the guns, they come cars, they switch guns. It's something that we are afraid they happen again in shooting because we don't know. They're coming people for Illinois, coming and go and switching guns each other. And every time that we call the cops, they go inside. So the cops, they cannot do anything. And we've been calling the cops almost every day for these couple weeks before. Like now is something that, you know, we are afraid for these kids, for my kids. My kids work, they go to school, these kids, they don't do anything. So please, if you can help us, to do something. And we need more lights on the street, especially in that house. Because in that house in the night, the kids, they're outside with the guns. And when the cops come, they don't see anything because it's so dark. And you know, it's not fair that we are owner, we pay the house, we try to do work in the house, and like now that the summer is here, we want to enjoy outside. Because all the winter we inside in the house. So we're here to see if you can do something for us. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Martha Ochoa. Please state your name.
Por favor.
State your name,
Buenas tardes.
address, and you have 3 minutes.
Sí, mi nombre es Marta Ochoa. Yo vivo ahí en el enfrente, en el 4822 de la Huerta, en el enfrente de esos jóvenes que yo a veces me siento ahí un rato con mis nietecitos y veo cuando sacan hasta la pistola y se lo pasan a otro y se la ponen abajo y me meto yo muy disimulada y pues me veo porque tanta cosa que ha pasado. Y el sábado a la 1 de la mañana oí que los balazos, y cuando íbamos a la iglesia en la mañana que levantamos el garaje, ahí estaban 3 balas, 3 casquillos de bala, ahí junto a mi garaje, y por eso... Sí.
Okay, 48.
22, sí, ahí van.
That's right in front of the properties that we're talking about. She says that when she sits outside with her small grandkids, she could see them in these individuals that live at these problem locations. They're exchanging guns and they pick up their shirts, they show them, they exchange with other people. People come driving in and they're just exchanging guns, and they're afraid of that. And that on Saturday, there was a shooting. There was a shooting and she found bullets in the back of her home by her garage.
Y pues también es la misma situación de ellas, que no está uno ni a gusto
She
ahí.
said it's the same, she feels the same.
Tienen miedo uno.
She's afraid, same situation, that's why she's here. Just like everybody else, they're very, very concerned, and that's the bottom line. She's afraid for her and the family.
A ver si nos pueden ayudar, por favor.
And she's asking for please, can you help?
30 años, si nomás llegan otros.
Yeah, she said she's been there for 30 years and it's unfair to be there for 30 years and to live in fear or to have to leave. They can't afford to leave. Sorry.
Sí, gracias.
Thank you. Graciela Campos.
Mi nombre es Graciela Campos, vivo en el 4820 de la Boca desde hace 27 años y está muy difícil aquí la situación porque no puede salir uno fuera por miedo a... Ellos viven enfrente de donde yo vivo. Entonces nosotros salimos, ha habido situaciones en que se cruzan los balazos allá afuera. Y no, el otro día mi esposo iba a trabajar y él estaba en la camioneta y salió uno de enfrente y se dirigió a media calle y con la pistola en la mano. Mi esposo se asustó, pensó que era para él, pero no, dice que nada más volteó para todos lados y metió la pistola y se fue para atrás. 4820.
4820, all kind of same location. She says she's been there for 27 years. And that her husband was leaving for work one day and one of them seemed to be approaching him, it seemed like that, going for his gun, pulling it out. And her husband really thought that he was going to get shot at the moment, but it wasn't from him. I guess he was just displaying the gun with him, but she wasn't sure. But it's basically the same issues that all her other neighbors are having. And again, she's very, very scared and worried about it.
Cuando llama uno a la policía, le empiezan a hacer preguntas, ¿dónde vives? ¿Qué ropa trae? ¿Qué arma trae? Nosotros no sabemos. Entonces, en lo que están en la información, ya cuando llega la policía, ellos se meten.
Okay, so she's saying when she calls the police, they ask a lot of questions, which I understand, because I know what she means. But sometimes you can't see because it's so dark, again, because of the lighting. And by the time they come, these guys or kids, I've seen pictures of them, so I'm sure they're 18 and younger. They go back in the house, and then so when the police come, they can't do anything.
Queremos que nos ayuden o sea, que pase más la policía allí, porque cuando llamamos como que pasa una vez o dos y ya dejan de pasar, y es lo que queremos, más seguridad, aparte que la calle está muy oscura, y queremos saber si nos pueden ayudar con seguridad.
Right, so finally, she's asking that because it's so dark, again, the lighting, the same issue, and that she would like to see more patrol cars going by there more frequently than usual. I mean, whatever, I don't know what the schedule is there, so I'm just saying that's what she said she'd like to see them go by more. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. And Angelica Ramirez?
Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, soy María Angélica Ramírez y también estamos con la misma situación. Estoy 4821 de la Horta. Tengo 17 años viviendo aquí y es la misma situación de lo que estamos hablando. Queremos más seguridad y pues no es justo para que otros renteros lleguen aquí y nos saquen a los reyes que somos de nuestras casas.
She's saying that she's been here for 17 years, 48,
Sí, 4821.
21.
No, pero usted no
No,
vive.
su domicilio.
No, 4923 de la Horta.
4923, oh, that's where she lives.
Mhm.
And she's been here she owns her home for 17 years.
Mhm.
And it's not fair that she has to go through that and be, she pays a mortgage, whatever, and that these people just come in into these rented properties and take over the neighborhood and do whatever they want. And she just wants the same thing that everybody else is asking, for more police and to look into this situation because it's very dangerous.
Lo único que queremos es seguridad y pues que investiguen a esas personas y pues nosotros estamos trabajando bien y estamos aquí bien, no es justo que por otros que llegan a hacer sus balaceras porque no escogen horario, es en la mañana, en la tarde, en la noche y como ahorita en el 4 de julio no sabemos si es un balazo o son los truenos.
She said they're shooting at all hours, it's not just at night. It doesn't matter, it's anytime during the day. And again, she's just asking that we help and that the police do more patrolling. And she just sounds in her voice, you could tell she's frustrated like everybody else is.
Y pues lo único que nos ayuden y muchas gracias por escuchar la voz y que pasen buenas noches.
There a motion to adjourn?
So move, Madam President.
Second.
Motion to adjourn made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Hill. Roll call.
Francisci.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Malonio.
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Gonzalez.
Yes.
We will.
Steph.